Welcome, friends, to another episode of KB7QHC. And today we're going to, seeing as it's getting warm outside, and we might have outdoor activity, certainly going into June with field day, I'm going to do a little exploration of how to get antennas up into the trees. You can see through there. I lived near a lot of trees, and principally maples, which offer a lot of limb opportunities. That is to get a, well, let me get into my chalk and talk. So here, let's see. So here I have what I call my, this is my method of erecting antenna models. I have a tree here, of course. I have a rope going up into the tree with a pulley on the end. And this is it shown in a magnification. A simple pulley structure here, something that you can find at the hardware store for cheap, probably $2 or $3. Now, returning to here, I have a second rope going through the pulley to the wire, some wire. Again, down here we can see this rope from below going through the pulley and to the load. So basically what I do is I start with a bow and arrow that has a lead attached to it, and I shoot it up into the tree, crossing a limb, pull the pulley up through, loop some wire-laden rope through the pulley, then pull the pulley up to the tree, up into the tree, and I can tie this end off now and forever after use this single length of rope, and I tie this in to the tree on a cleat. So what do I put up into the air? Well, here's a let's see, a horizontal loop with a resistor supported by 4 trees. The transceiver is off-site. I have a tuner or a matching unit, and please note that I employ a ground screen at this point, even though a horizontal loop has no call for it. Having a ground screen under any horizontal antenna will improve the antenna's performance because it is reducing the loss of the proximity of the embrace of ground. So, twin leads going up, round back. We probably have a balun in here, and leading back to the transceiver through conventional coax. Here's a truncation of that same loop, except it's in a sort of a delta formation because, well, I only had 3 trees. Luckily, they have the separation to allow for enough and length up in the air rather than just the height that's offered to us. Now, you'll notice that there's absolutely no numbers anywhere on this as to lengths. We'll get into that later, but the tree's going to be the limitation of that. There's just no getting around it. Hopefully, for this scenario, you can find 2 trees that are a quarter wave tall to 80 meters, and this is just going to be a vertical. We're supporting a 80-meter quarter wave monopole using ropes from 2 separated but high trees. And here's a plot of the characteristic impedance of that vertical as we approach resonance and then depart from it. So you can see that there's a very critical valley here of the impedance equaling 0 and the resistance equaling 35 ohms. If you get this if in fact you get this value, even with this value, it's by virtue of the ground screen here. This number will probably soar to about 50 ohms for a very lackluster ground screen, or even it missing. So this value will rise. This will still fall, but this is the mechanics of the mechanics. This is the mechanics. This is the electronics of the situation. We can expand this into a 5-band fan vertical supported by 2 trees. Again, 5 bands. I'll show you here. This is rope going up through the pulley, rope going up through the pulley, and it's going to have a fan of 3 ropes here, so that the strain can be spread across the tips of each of these verticals. And in that regards, we have a 15, 17, 20, 40, and 80 meter monopoles, fan monopoles. And over here you can see, again, the characteristic for a well-developed screen at the bottom. And for verticals, it's always good to have a good ground treatment. And we can observe 5 resonances. Here's another method of feeding a vertical, and this is to, if your trees are too short, then you might want to employ a top load so that the vertical looks higher than what's available at this point or this point as far as elevating this center. This L length is going to increase the apparent height by half of this leg, or half of this leg. So 1/4 of L can be added to H in terms of how high your apparent vertical is in terms of resonance. So if these were, well, I'm not going to toss numbers in at this point, but to draw your attention down to the tuner, the balun, 2 ground treatments, 1 for each, and a connection 1/3 the way up the height of the antenna for the feed, the single wire feed. And this is a gamma fade. So this allows you to well, it provides safety against lightning strikes. Verticals are pretty close to ground, but this one goes directly to ground. And the tap is what allows you to couple into the energy that's coming from afar, or what you're trying to transmit out to afar. Okay, seeing as we've come back to my initial graphic there, I'll say that that's a quick review of hoisting antennas into the trees. You have to have the trees, of course. I was lucky, but too lucky, because I lived at the edge of a forest, and I didn't really have the 4 points of support. I had roughly 2. However, your luck may vary from my own. And in that regards, I'm going to extend my 73s, and hope to see you soon.